This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So Russ, you know that wrongful conviction cases always really intrigue me. The story I'm telling you today proves that if investigators just look a little deeper sometimes, there's usually more to the story. And science, although pretty accurate, is not perfect. This is the case of Patricia Stallings. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, all my favorite true crime stories, and he reacts to them. I'm here with my husband, Russ.
What's up, folks?
And this is Jess. And we're here for another week with you guys. And I'm ready to tell you a crazy story. Are you ready to hear it?
Jumping in that fast?
No. We'll talk about the Patreon and stuff first, but I can't wait to tell you the story. I'm really excited.
Yeah, you're trying to skip out blabber.
Our blabber, our stuff. So we do have some stuff in the beginning to talk about. We have our Patreon, and we do our True Crime and Chill episodes. And this month, we're going to be doing the documentary Dream Killer on Netflix. Have you seen the previews for that, Russ?
No, I don't really pay attention to documentaries, except for the ones I have to watch.
Well, I posted the preview on the Patreon, so clearly you don't also pay attention to the Patreon posts.
No, I do. I responded this week when I went to the Son of Sam place where them dudes was going to try to get me, but I booked it.
Well, we're going to be watching Dream Killer. It's a documentary on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, booked it means ran really fast away, if you didn't know.
I think a lot of people know what that means.
Maybe. The slang is different in other places, like...
That's true.
Somewhere else, I remember when I was little and I heard people from out of state and they're like, I'm finna do something. Like, finna? What's a finna?
That's
so
like a Southern thing, right?
Yeah, but now, it's all over. Slang kind of goes all over now that the internet opened up the world.
That's true, yeah.
But booked it is probably very 90s.
I would say booked it is pretty 90s, yeah.
Yeah, someone might think like, oh, he read a lot of books.
No.
And I was not reading a lot of books.
Well, yeah, so the documentary Dream Killer, it's a wrongful conviction case, and it's about this dad who should be like dad of the year because he's convinced that his son is innocent, and he goes above and beyond to try to prove his son's innocence and prove that there was like a mishandling of justice in his son's case. And it's really interesting. And since we just had Father's Day, kind of, good timing to talk about a really good dad.
I don't really I guess I like, but I don't like, they make me angry, the wrongful conviction cases, which could make for a good episode because I'll be aggravated.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I was thinking?
What?
So someone messaged you and said they were a medium. We have a medium that listens?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And, I'm a profiler and I profile all the cases and I let you guys know what happens, But she said I'm very intuitive.
She did, yeah.
In a message to Jess, I read that because I could read the messages because I could log into Instagram too. So I might be a medium. But I do not want to see dead people.
Yeah, but you don't believe in any type of ghosts or anything, and you don't believe in psychics and mediums, and you don't believe in any paranormal activity. So I highly doubt that you are a medium.
Maybe ghosts are telling me what happened in these cases. I don't know. Because it just pops in my head. Stuff pops in your head. You don't know where it came from.
That's true. Yeah. And she did say you were very intuitive.
Yeah, so if she needs help, you could contact me. I'll help you out.
Oh, stop.
On the arm, first one, all the time. And
you're an idiot.
But I'm intuitive. So, #Russ the medium.
It's so not true. Oh, God.
Does medium, I guess it doesn't only mean size. What does that mean, medium? Because, small, medium, large. Is there a large and they could see more dead people?
Think so. What goes on? Is this a serious question?
Yeah, but why is it medium? Do you start at small?
To be honest with you, I don't know why they're called mediums, but I know it's not about sizes. You're making me laugh so much. I know it's not about sizes.
But I'm curious.
I'm curious too now to know what the reason they are referred to as mediums.
How about
maybe they're the middle ground between the living and the dead.
So
they're the medium, they're the in between.
That's what I was about to say when I paused and I took a breath and then you jumped in.
Oh.
I had it. But that got to be it.
Yeah. It has to be they're the middle ground between life and death. Anyway, on Patreon, we're going to be doing the Dream Killer documentary on Netflix. And we have a bunch of new patrons that joined over the last couple weeks. So Russ is going to shout them out. Ready? You have your list in front of you. Go ahead and shout out the patrons.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining again. I'm very appreciative.
Me too.
And this week we have a decent amount. This week we have Erica, Mary, Alyssa, Blanca, Dakota, Mindy, Kara, Auntie Philomena, and Jillian. So, cheers to you guys. Sometimes I open a beer, but I don't got one, so I'm going to jiggle my ice. I got a little drink. I'm going to pour my old fashioned now from this company. I ain't going to say their name, so they sponsor us.
Cheers to you guys. Thank you so much for all the support on Patreon. It really helps us a lot. It helps us keep this thing going and, just gives us a lot of inspiration to keep pushing through. Russ and I work a lot in our full-time jobs. So, it sometimes can be hard to balance life when we're both working and trying to figure out a recording schedule. But the Patreon, is so much fun. We love doing the True Crime and Chill episodes. So we really appreciate all the support. We thank you guys so much.
Yeah, because it really gives Jess motivation to keep researching the cases.
It does. It's true. It helps me to see people are engaged and interested. And, it gives me all the motivation I need. So thank you guys so much.
And, I was not going to tell people about the drink I'm drinking today because they don't sponsor us. But I feel like, it's good. So I'm drinking Spirits Lab Blood Orange Old Fashioned. It's like a premixed bottle. This isn't advertised. They don't give me any money. But if you can find it somewhere, go check them out.
Okay. So because I am the content creator of this podcast.
I'm the Walt Clyde Frazier of this.
You're the color commentator, but I'm the one that creates the content, what we're going to talk about. And sometimes I get on these kicks, right? So, last time, a couple weeks ago, I was kind of on this cult kick So we watched the Son of Sam documentary, which was all about cults. And then I did an episode on Heaven's Gate, which was about a cult. And now...
I need to start a cult.
Now I'm on a wrongful conviction exoneration kick because I'm so fascinated by them. Like, I love wrongful conviction cases.
You love that they're exposed. You don't love that they were wrongfully
I was about
convicted.
to say, let me rephrase that. I hate wrongful conviction cases, but I love exoneration cases. And, you know, I just find them so crazy that someone can go through something and then be blamed or have these false confessions. I don't know. I just find the whole thing crazy. There was a criminal episode recently. I think it's the most recent episode that Phoebe Judge did. Shout out to Phoebe Judge. She's my girl.
Shout out to Phoebe Judge, sexiest voice in the game.
She has the greatest voice. Love Criminal. One of my favorite podcasts ever.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Judge.
I know. She has the best voice ever. But the most recent episode was called 48 Hours, and there's 2 parts. And in this episode, I really want you guys, when you're done listening to this, to our episode, obviously listen to the rest of ours. But then...
And then the other previous 50 episodes, and then go listen to Phoebe and tell her we sent you.
That's true. Write a review, tell her Wife of Crime sent you. But the latest episode of Criminal, 48 Hours, is so nuts. It's a wrongful conviction case. And it is just crazy. And I'm on this kick lately. We're going to do our Patreon documentary about Dream Killer, which is the wrongful conviction documentary.
It really is crazy. When I was listening to it, because Jess always sends me podcasts, she'll just randomly like text me a podcast, and I never click on them. Just because like I'm not listening to all these. But this one she spoke about like 3-4 times. And then I was taking a long trip to go ride my bike with my friends. And I clicked on it. And as I was listening to it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. We actually could have done like a true crime and chill on this 2-part episode that she has. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. Like as far as like the cops trying to convict people that were victims, and
yeah, it's nuts.
And then like,
don't tell them any details. I want them to go listen to it.
I could spoil other people's podcasts.
No,
I don't care.
Spoil it for them. It's exciting for them to hear it fresh.
All right, so what you got to do, folks? Go listen to that, and then hit us up, and maybe we'll do a true crime and chill on it, a brief one or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
we'll do a bonus episode or something on it.
Yeah, because it's easy to do those because Jess doesn't have to write anything.
Yeah.
And I never write anything anyway. And I'm a content creator too because I take this podcast where I want it to go.
Okay. You ramble, which goes in many directions.
Leave me alone.
So anyway, I'm on this kick, right? And obviously, since I'm on this kick, today's case is also a wrongful conviction case. This is the wrongful conviction of Patricia Stallings. I have a few stats for you. There are, on average, in 2021, 3 exonerations per week now.
So now I have a question. When we talk about exonerations, I wonder if any guilty people are released as a wrongful conviction.
To be exonerated, you need a lot of evidence in your favor of innocence.
I feel that to be convicted, you don't need that much evidence to be convicted.
Absolutely not. But you need a lot of evidence to be exonerated.
Or money. Look at Bill Cosby.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Don't
even get me started.
Oh my God, there's so many good memes that I want to post.
Don't even get me
started. And Jess is like, it's too soon.
No, we're
not. I have so many.
No. So, more stats. Only 8%.
She brushed that shit off so fast.
Only 8% of exonerations are female. Exonerations of women are most likely to involve crimes committed against children or crimes that actually never occurred. I think what started me down this like wrongful conviction rabbit hole was back in 2016, 2017-ish, when I started listening to the podcast called Wrongful Conviction with Jason Flom. His very first...
Flom?
Jason Flom.
Oh, they said flong. That's like a good Puerto Rican dessert.
No, Flom. His very first episode was telling the story of Raymond Santana, who was one of the 5 guys wrongfully convicted of the famous Central Park jogger case. Okay.
Yeah, I know about that. That's the one that Trump hated them kids and all that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And those dudes were innocent. I hate when innocent people get. Well, I don't really know the case that much, but they were let go. So
Yeah. So this was the first time that I found out that cops can lie to you in the interrogation room. It was the first time I found out that polygraphs are very questionable science. And it was the first time I realized how false confessions actually happen.
Aren't polygraphs basically just like a heart rate monitor? You basically putting like an iWatch on you and telling you stories.
Well, they're monitoring.
They're like,
your
here's this, wear this
blood
Fitbit,
No.
and let me ask you questions.
Well, they're monitoring your blood pressure and your heart rate, and it's very subjective because the person who's performing the polygraph is also taking note of how much you're sweating, how much you're stuttering. It's a whole thing.
I told you guys a story when I took a polygraph.
Yeah.
I don't know what episode that was.
It was a while ago, but it was crazy that I never knew you took a polygraph until we recorded that episode.
I'll tell people real quick, 'cause half people probably knew. I used to be an electrician. We were doing work in a check cashing place. That's where people go to cash their checks, don't have bank accounts because you probably have bad credit, and people will take your money if you deposit it in your bank. Don't ask me how I know that, but I have good credit now. So I was working a check cashing place with this dude, and we were doing some light fixture or something. I was like 18. I was very young. It was a terrible job. I was making like $250 a week, but I thought I was balling because I lived. No, wait, I was younger. Well, anyway, they went $5,000 went missing. And my boss called me and he said, Russ, there's $5,000 missing. You two dudes working there want to take a polygraph test. And I was like, I don't care. I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Little did I know that polygraphs are wrong.
Yeah. You could have been blamed for this.
Yeah. But now you just gave the ending to the story that I wasn't blamed. So I took the polygraph test, and it was the dude with the weird voice that would do the polygraphs on the Howard Stern show. So if you ever listen to Howard Stern, it's him.
Oh.
And
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I passed the polygraph, like I wasn't guilty. And they said the other dude, his name was Angelo. Well, I shouted him out. He had a ponytail too. I guess don't trust these ponytail dudes. And he stole $5,000. And this dumbass came to work 2 weeks later in a not new Camaro, but it was like an old ass busted down Camaro. But they said the whole time he was there, I guess he kind of gave himself up because he's like, Russ didn't do it. Russ.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah, because I would have gave him that smoke.
Yeah, well, that was nice of him.
He was like 25, and he was weird. He had like one of them. A lot of you probably had this too. Probably Jess too. Mm-hmm. You had one of them. Just tell me to wrap this story up. She's waving her pen in the air.
Come on.
All right. He had one of them wallets with the chains on it. You keep in your back pocket.
I used to have one.
I knew it. Go ahead. I'm done. I'm sorry.
So, yes, polygraphs are very questionable
science. And I passed
science.
it because I don't fail nothing.
Polygraphs are very questionable science. And, when you start to really look into wrongful conviction cases and exoneration cases, you realize how nuts it really is to be an innocent person, and they can lock you up for the rest of your freaking life.
Yeah.
And we've done a few cases. We did the West Memphis 3 case, and we did the case of Billy Dillon, the one who was going to play Major League Baseball. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
But this time...
He was just douchey, but they gave him jail anyway.
Yeah.
But he was innocent, but he was a douche, and you don't go to jail for being a douche.
No, you can't go to jail for being an asshole.
I just don't want you to talk to me. No,
Bro, you'd be in jail forever.
No, I just don't talk to people.
All right, so I have another wrongful conviction case for you.
Hashtag Jess is rude.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So this episode is actually dedicated to my friend Tanya. She's one of our lab technicians at my job. She loves the podcast. She joined the Patreon. Huge supporter of all my ideas for this podcast. She's been a supporter since pretty much day one.
Big up, Tanya.
I thought of Tanya the whole time I was researching this story. So thank you for everything you do at work, and thank you for the support on the podcast. We love you. Okay. In the mid-1980s, Patty Stallings was working as a convenience store clerk in St. Louis. A guy named David frequented the store, and over time, Patty and David became friendly and eventually started to date. The two were married in 1988, and they had their first son, Ryan, in April of 1989. Over the next few months of Ryan's life, he was a very fussy baby, and he seemed to be sickly pretty often, okay? He had a lot of digestive issues. And, this can be normal for some babies. But by July, Ryan seemed to have gotten progressively more sick really fast. On July 7th, Patty noticed that Ryan kept throwing up. And then he seemed like he was having trouble breathing, like he was actually unable to catch his breath, and it freaked her out.
As an infant?
As an infant. He was only 3 months old. And this is incredibly scary for anybody who's in the presence of a baby who can't breathe because, when babies struggle to breathe, the first thing that goes on a baby is their respiratory system, right? So I know this from working in the ER. If a baby comes in and is short of breath, we jump on them because if they go into respiratory arrest, which is when you stop breathing completely, a baby can die pretty fast from that.
Do you use littler medical equipment on a baby?
Yes, it's so cute.
No, that's not cute.
It's the blood pressure cuffs are they're literally tiny, tiny. They're so cute. Why did you say it's not cute?
Because that means you're using them when babies are sick, and that babies being sick isn't cute.
Oh, well, I didn't think of it that way. But the equipment is really tiny, and babies are just cute. So
not all of them. Sometimes I see babies on Instagram, and people post all these pictures and cuteness, and I'm like, that's an ugly baby.
Okay.
Not all babies are cute.
Okay. Well,
only if they're fat. Fat babies are pretty cute.
Fat babies are really cute. Okay, so anyway, when it comes to babies, if they have a hard time breathing, then they can quickly go into respiratory arrest, which is, like I said, a fancy way of saying they completely stop breathing. So in a panic, Patty runs to the car, straps Ryan into the car seat, and frantically speeds to the hospital. She was originally planning to go to St. Louis Children's Hospital, but in her panic, she took a wrong turn. And she ended up closer to a smaller hospital called Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. He was immediately admitted to the ICU. While he was in the ER, they placed an IV, drew blood and urine samples, and put Ryan on oxygen. About an hour or so later, the blood resulted, and doctors were shocked by the results. The blood work showed high levels of ethylene glycol in Ryan's blood. So our body doesn't produce ethylene glycol, so it means that it has been put there.
What is it?
There's a substance that is made almost entirely of ethylene glycol, and that is antifreeze. So doctors came to the conclusion that
So does your body produce any of that?
No.
Okay.
So doctors came to the conclusion that the baby had been poisoned with antifreeze.
Fair assessment.
Being that he's 3 months old, he can't crawl, he can't walk, he didn't drink it himself, he's not a toddler, so someone had poisoned him. Immediately, doctors called CPS, which is Child Protective Services, who subsequently called the cops. And Ryan was taken away from Patty and David and placed into protective custody. A little over a month later, on August 31st, Patty was allowed to have a supervised visit with her baby. She was so happy to see her son again. She held him, she cuddled him, she fed him a bottle, and just rocked him to sleep for a few hours. But about 4 days later, after their visit, Ryan started showing signs of being sick again. He was vomiting again and became short of breath. Ryan was admitted back to the hospital and placed in the ICU.
How long was this after the mom visited him?
4 days.
4 days. You probably said that.
Yes, I did. So they found ethylene glycol in his system again. And the baby remained in the ICU and was being treated for the ethylene glycol poisoning. And police arrested Patty and charged her with assault on September 5th, 1989.
I could see it.
2 days later, while in the hospital, baby Ryan became short of breath. He went into a respiratory arrest and he died. Immediately,
Damn.
charges against Patty were revised and they charged her with first-degree murder. Patty sat in county jail awaiting her trial. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Wife of Crime #1 for 15% off your first order. So within a month or so of the death of baby Ryan and Patty being charged, she found out that she was pregnant. So she had been pregnant before she got arrested. She was already 3 months along. And then, she's sitting in jail waiting her trial, pregnant. And then in February 17th, 1990, she gives birth to her second son, another baby named David Jr.
They're going to probably take that baby.
They immediately took the baby and put him in foster care.
But it does seem like it could be her because your body doesn't produce that. And now the baby is away in a hospital, away from the environment that it was in.
Mm-hmm.
But it produced it again, but it produced it after you visited the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yeah. Definitely. So about a month later, in March, David Jr.'s foster mother noticed that the baby, this is the second baby now, okay? The foster mother noticed that the baby had a hard time digesting his food, and he would vomit very often. He also had trouble breathing. So David was taken to St. Louis Children's Hospital, where after being placed in the pediatric ICU and observed, it was determined that he had a rare genetic disorder known as MMA, which is
it's a UFC fighter.
No, methylmalonic acidemia.
Mixed martial arts.
So this disorder is...
You don't even entertain me.
No, I'm moving past. This disorder is a very rare disorder, and it causes people to have a hard time breaking down certain types of foods like fats and proteins. And this leads to a buildup of a chemical in your system called propionic acid. So now the thing about propionic acid is it's one carbon atom different from ethylene glycol. So if you're someone who isn't trained very well as a lab person, you could mistake propionic acid for ethylene glycol. So David Jr. was treated for his disorder, and he recovered, and he was placed back in foster care. During the investigation and ensuing trial, Patricia Stallings' defense attorney wanted to introduce the theory, because his job is to introduce reasonable doubt. So he wants to introduce the theory that Ryan had died of MMA also. But the prosecutor, George B. McElroy, considered the siblings' diagnosis completely irrelevant. And he said that Ryan's death was due to poisoning, even though his brother had similar symptoms and had this disorder.
See, that's so dumb to me that a lawyer could say this has nothing to do with it, because a lawyer is not a medical professional. So you should bring a medical professional in and get their opinion on it, because when we need an opinion on laws, we call a lawyer. When we need an opinion on something medical, you call a doctor.
Yeah.
And if you need something to be profiled and find out what went wrong, you call a profiler, like me.
Well, during her trial, Patty wanted her attorney to call character witnesses to testify on her behalf, and also call more witnesses like doctors, but he didn't. And she was convicted of first-degree murder of her son Ryan and sentenced to life.
How bad does a parent feel? Like, you're already distraught that your baby died. And now you're convicted for the murder. Like,
isn't that insane? I know.
But it made sense, kinda.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
And one thing that I didn't mention, and I should have mentioned before, was after her visitation, the supervised visitation, they tested the bottle as well. And the bottle had trace ethylene glycol in it.
I would have convicted her. That's it. It's over.
So when you look at it that way, 100% I see their side.
Yup. I would have been gun-ho on it.
But now that we've seen her second child have the same thing, it brings question.
What needs to happen, I guess, it seems like, is she shouldn't have children, because they keep getting sick. She's making babies that just are dying or something.
Well, David Jr. recovered because they treated the disease correctly.
Oh, it's treatable.
Well, it's something that you can manage medically. So it's not necessarily cured, but they managed it, and he was okay. And he ended up being okay. But the thing was, with Ryan, they didn't know.
But it's in the bottle. So I understand why they're going so hard, because people are very emotional about children, because people are helpless. I love puppies. And if you mess with a puppy, you got to go. And if somebody said a puppy had drank antifreeze and you gave it to them or something, or babies or whatever, like, of course, I'd be like, fuck that person.
Yeah, 100%. Well, in May,
the people probably had good intentions.
Well, they did, but then they didn't look at all the facts. So when all the facts were presented, they wanted to keep with their narrative, and that's the problem. They didn't have an open mind to the fact that maybe the first baby had the same disorder, and maybe when you drink out of a bottle or drink out of anything for that matter, you have backwash, and maybe the spit that went back into the bottle had the ethylene glycol in it, which caused trace amounts of ethylene glycol to be in the bottle.
This is why I never share drinks. So I'm like, you want to taste? And now I'm going to say, no, there might be ethanol glycol in there. Jess is a huge, try this. And I'm like, ew, you just drank after that person? Brush your teeth before you come to me. I don't play that sharing drinks game.
So in May of 1990, defense attorney Eric Rathbone obtained copies of notes determined to have been written by the assistant prosecutor, John S. Applebaum. The notes said that the doctor who pronounced Ryan dead had considered the possibility of an MMA diagnosis, but also that he had not tested Ryan at the time. So later, Patty Stallings' case was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, so on May 8th, 1991, her episode of Unsolved Mysteries aired because she was in an appeal at the time, and she was very, very adamant about her innocence. So Robert Slack put her on Unsolved Mysteries, and they talked about her case. And a biochemist named William Sly from St. Louis University saw the episode. And he agreed to test Ryan's blood and gave it to a guy named Dr. James Shoemaker, who is the director of metabolic screening lab at St. Louis University. So these are like the guys of the field that know their shit. Like, they saw the episode and they wanted to test his blood because they're like, this could be that this woman is innocently in there.
Yeah, if it's as simple as testing the blood, why wouldn't you just test it?
Well, the prosecutor didn't want to test it.
That's where the DNA shop would step up. Like, hey, come to the DNA shop. We got this. We got the blood testing spot in the back. You don't get to test your own blood because that's nasty.
So Dr. Shoemaker immediately confirmed that Ryan had MMA. So Dr. Shoemaker then sent samples of the blood to several laboratories who tested it with the same methods that were used in the case, okay? Some of the laboratories came back with an incorrect conclusion, and some of them came back with the right conclusion.
Wait a minute.
So this shows that this is human error.
Yeah, because you can't say it's the wrong conclusion because that might be the right one. That it sounds subjective at this point.
No, what it is that because I told you before that ethylene glycol and the acid that is produced by the disease MMA are one carbon atom off from each other. So they can be mistaken for each other. So a few laboratories showed that it was ethylene glycol and a few laboratories showed that it was propionic acid, which are very similar, but it's really just human error that is causing the problem. At Sly and Shoemaker's request, there was another doctor from Yale University who looked at the case, and he concluded that Ryan also died of MMA, and he testified and helped to convince the prosecutor, McElroy, that Ryan might not have been poisoned. So in July 1991, Stallings was released from jail because the prosecutor stepped up and said, you know what? I was wrong. And he dropped the charges against her.
I like that. I wonder.
Isn't that nice?
Do you know this prosecutor's name?
McElroy.
McElroy. Shout out to you because a lot of times it seems prosecutors are just about winning and not about justice. Because justice is sometimes finding out someone is innocent. Mm-hmm. And that's what prosecutors should do.
He decided that, you know, this might be correct, that she didn't poison her kid. So they ended up doing a new trial. She was placed on house arrest, and in September of 1991, the prosecutors apologized to Stallings and dropped all of her charges.
Wow. They never apologize.
Yeah, they never apologized, but this guy did.
They just like bury you under the jail.
Well, he apologized, dropped the charges. She said that her Buddhist faith is what helped her stay strong in jail.
I thought
even
they
though
only have
she
Bibles
was
in there.
Well, no, she was a Buddhist.
Because everyone comes out with Jesus.
Well, she was a Buddhist, and it helped her stay strong in jail and be able to handle all the crap that she went through. Can you imagine everything this woman went through? First, your son gets incredibly sick. They take him away. They blame you. They claim you're poisoning him. Then he dies while you're locked up. You have another kid who gets taken from you. They charge you with your first child's murder. Then you're sent to prison for life. This poor woman.
How long was she in jail?
Altogether, I think she was in jail for a year, but she was facing a life.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's terrible.
She was facing a life sentence. It's terrible.
No, because some people, they get wrongly convicted, and then they're in there 20 years, and then they get out looking like Martin and Eddie when they got out from the movie Life.
Well, yeah.
And they go to the Yankee game.
That's true.
Hey, if you never watched Life, watch that movie. We should do a whole True Crime and Chill on that. That's one of my top 5 movies of all time.
But still, this woman went through a shitload. And,
because you're grieving already. Like, you're already feeling terrible.
Yeah.
And, as bad as you can feel.
It's awful.
And then now that... I wonder if, like, you're just, like, you don't even care about life at that point. Like, you just, like, lay in bed, like, I don't even care.
I don't know. But she was strong, and she got out, and she ended up, living her life with her son. Her and her husband did get a divorce. She sued the prosecutor's office and like the police department, and she sued the hospital the children's hospital that they went to originally, who sent all the labs sent the blood to the lab and misdiagnosed him. So she sued all of them, and she got a settlement for $2 million.
Good
but
for her.
She, her and her husband ended up getting a divorce, but she lived with her son, and then her son, David, her second son, died when he was 23.
Damn.
I don't know how he died. I don't know if it was what the reason is. I didn't see. I just saw that he did die when he was 23.
I don't think she should have sued the prosecutors because they obviously weren't out to just get her. Because when they found out there was like real good information, they were like, wait a minute.
Well, she sued a bunch of people.
She was just suing whoever she could, and I understand her because you're angry.
Yeah.
And I deserve some compensation for this nonsense.
Yeah, and I mean,
but she should have. It should have been the hospital because whoever tested these labs, these testings, and whoever interpreted the results of these labs, they all should be sued and fired. And that's what I got to say.
Well, I'm really thankful that she had her second kid. Because if she didn't have her second kid, she'd be in jail for the rest of her life.
Oh, shit. I didn't think of that.
And I'm also thankful that Unsolved Mysteries covered her case. Because if they didn't cover her case, then those doctors wouldn't have gotten involved and she'd probably be in jail for the rest of her life. So those two circumstances really helped her.
Is Unsolved Mysteries still on TV?
They have a new season with a different host, which...
Does he have a good voice?
Not like Robert Slack's voice. That guy's voice was the best.
Is that the premiere we went to? Like that guy's voice?
No, that was a different guy. That was Forensic Files.
They're all the same to me in my head, except America's Most Wanted. I used to rock with that one when I was a kid.
That was a good one. So that was the case of Patricia Stallings. Very interesting to me. I really like this one.
That shows that in science, it's not always black and white, that there's room for interpretation.
Well, there's always human error. I mean, even in the medical field, I mean, there's human error all the time. We can misdiagnose people, make mistakes in their treatment. I mean, it happens all the time, unfortunately. I mean, we are just humans. You can't expect humans to be perfect.
But when I get a blood test, I normally expect it to be black and white. Like, that's what I always thought blood tests do. And it takes away the human error. And, this result leads to you take this medication or you don't, or... Yeah. Whatever the hell it leads to.
Yeah, it's true. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning back in to Wife of Crime. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod and Facebook at Wife of Crime The Crime Family and wifeofcrime.com. I'll update it with pictures and the posts from this episode. And you can check out our merch. We have a merch link on wifeofcrime.com. And then we're on Patreon, and we got bonus episodes. Is there anything else I missed?
Not really. I think we
that's
got it.
Right?
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I think we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will.
And then we'll probably record the True Crime and Chill episode this week, or maybe Saturday.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, we just fit in our schedule. We here. We outside.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.